This then, my friends, is part 27 of our continued study of the two witnesses.
Lovely.
Points to note, these are two olive trees. The Apostle Paul wrote, the Jews, if they give up their unbelief, shall be grafted back in your place. God is perfectly able to graft them back again. After all, if you were cut from your natural wild olive to be grafted unnaturally onto a cultivated olive, it will be much easier for them, the natural branches, to be grafted back on to the tree they came from. Here Paul says that the Jews were the natural olive tree and the Gentiles were the wild olive tree. Similarly, the true church would be the natural olive tree, and their supporters, their supporters who would take a stand for freedom, would be the wild olive tree. The second witness would be the wild olive tree. Witness A then would be the natural olive tree, and witness B would be the wild olive tree. Witness B would be fighters for freedom, sometimes through war and sometimes through peace. One of our Irish songs is called Daybreak or Ratay, and one of its lines is, then cursed every power in it that would trample freedom down.
Fantastic.
And this could be described as the policy or the motto of witness B, the second witness. These are the two lampstands. A lamp gives light. Jesus said, you are the light of the world. No one lights a lamp to put it under a tub. They put it on the lampstand where it shines for everyone in the house. Your light must shine in the sight of men. That's in Matthew's Gospel. Christians are a light to the world. The true church is one lampstand. How could witness B be a lampstand? They were when they campaigned for freedom, when they carried out their true role. All groups who made up the two witnesses were both olive trees and lampstands. But of course it was the group A, the true church, who were the natural olive tree and the true lampstand, but group B, in a very limited and imperfect way, carried out their role as well when they were supporting the true church in their stand for freedom.
I love that idea of, they're going to clamp down on anything that doesn't stand for freedom.
Exactly, yes.
Because
yes.
Christ's invitation is complete freedom.
It is complete freedom. Yes, it is complete freedom. He said the truth will make you free.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's the
this
only
is
freedom.
Fantastic.
And that is the only freedom that's worth fighting for.
Exactly. The truth.
The truth.
That makes you free.
Now, witness B goes to war. If anyone wants to harm them, fire proceeds from their mouth and devours their enemies.
Wow.
If anyone wants to harm them, he must be killed in this manner. These have power to shut up heaven so that no rain falls in the days of their prophecy. They have power over waters to turn them to blood and to strike the earth with all plagues as often as they desire. Points to note, this is the language of war. If anyone wants to harm them, fire proceeds from their mouth and devours their enemies. Speeches come from the mouth. Here it refers to military orders to declare war on their enemies, and this applies only to witness B. If anyone wants to harm them, he must be killed in this manner. This manner means war. War was a means which the witnesses were able to use against their enemies, and war causes death, so their enemies would be killed in this manner, in other words, killed in war. The witnesses have power to shut up heaven so that no rain falls. Rain is a sign of blessings from God. No rain falls is a sign of the opposite, a sign of God's displeasure. King Solomon wrote, like sun and moon he will endure age after age, welcome as rain that falls on the pasture and showers to thirsty soil. In Psalm 72. The Apostle James wrote, Elijah was a man with a nature like ours, and he prayed earnestly that it would not rain, and it did not rain on the land for 3 years and 6 months. He prayed again, and the heaven gave rain, and the earth produced its fruit. Moses wrote, "Your heavens, which are over your head, shall be bronze, and the earth which is under you shall be iron. The Lord will change the rain of your land to powder," in the book of Deuteronomy. All this was a sign that God was angry with the people. He would hold back some of his favours from them, including the favours of nature. The witnesses have power to shut up heaven so that no rain falls. What would cause this? War plus God's intervention. God would be on the side of the witnesses. The witnesses have power over waters to turn them to blood. Waters stand for people, as we've already seen. So, peoples and nations. The witnesses can turn waters into blood. They have power to turn whole populations into blood. They would do this by war, and war brings blood, it brings death and injury. The witnesses have power to strike the earth with all plagues as often as they desire. War has often been brought hunger, famine, disease and plagues. As often as they desire, whenever the witnesses decided to take up the sword and to go to war, these tragic things happened: death, injury, disease, famines and plagues. Now, Christian groups who went to war, that's groups who are openly Christian. The Paulicians, Encyclopedia Britannica says, Paulician, member of a dualistic Christian sect that originated in Armenia in the mid-7th century. The sect seems to have started a widespread political and military rebellion within the Byzantine Empire. Shortly after its appearance between 668 and 698, the emperors Constantine III and Justinian II sent 2 expeditions to repress it. Wikipedia says the Paulicians had a widespread political and military influence in Asia Minor, including a temporary independent state in the mid-9th century, centred in Tefriq. The Hussites, Wikipedia says, the Hussite wars were a series of wars fought between the Christian Hussites and the combined Christian Catholic forces of the Holy Roman Empire, European monarchs loyal to the Catholic Church, as well as various Hussite factions, and the wars lasted from 1419 to approximately 1434, roughly 15
like the
years.
Crusades, or?
No, they weren't part of the Crusades, no.
No.
The unrest began after the Christian reformer Jan Hus was executed by the Catholic Church in 1415 for heresy. The Holy Roman Emperor Sigismund was outraged by the spread of Hussitism. He got permission from the Pope to launch a crusade against the Hussites. Large numbers of crusaders came from all over Europe to fight. The Hussites laid siege to the garrison of crusaders and took back nearly all the land which the Crusaders had previously captured. The Crusaders in this case were not the Crusaders that we all know, which were sent to the Holy Land to drive the Turks out of that after the Turks captured the Holy Land. That's the normal meaning of the word crusade, but the word crusade was also used for many other campaigns launched in Europe against various religious groups. It was a complete failure then, the crusades against the Hussites. The Germans undertook another crusade, but they too were roundly defeated by Jan Ziska, the Hussite commander, at the Battle of Deutschbrod. A third crusade was attempted by the papacy, but it ended in complete failure as well. The fighting ended in 1434. The Hussite community included most of the Czech population of the Kingdom of Bohemia. They formed a major military power. They had earlier defeated 5 consecutive crusades proclaimed against them by the Pope in 1420, 1421, 1422, 1427, 1431 The Hussite wars were notable for the extensive use of early handheld firearms, such as hand cannons. After the wars, the Hussites were allowed to practice their somewhat variant right. They won the right to practice their own religion, and they won it through war. Bohemia is today in the Czech Republic. So now then we've looked at 15 moments. We've looked at witnesses. Witness B up to now were mostly groups who were prepared to go to war to use the sword, but there were notable individuals. Things like this, campaigns needn't always depend on groups. An outstanding and well-known and influential individual person can have huge influence as well. We'll turn now to look at two courageous sons of Italy who did this. They were both Catholic priests.
Oh, okay, great.
Which you wouldn't expect.
No.
And they certainly campaigned for freedom.
Great.
And they were both, I would say, celebrated figures in that time. The first one is Arnold of Brescia.
Arnold of Brescia in Italy.
Brescia is a city in northern Italy in the Lombard region. Wikipedia says Arnold of Brescia was an Augustinian priest from Lombardy. He died in 1155, so he lived almost 900 years ago. He called the church to renounce property ownership and participated in the Fail Commune of Rome. He was exiled at least 3 times. He was eventually arrested. He was hanged by the papacy, was then burned and his ashes thrown into the river Tiber in Rome. Though he failed as a religious reformer and as a political leader, his teachings on poverty gained currency after his death among the Waldensians and Franciscans. Protestants rank him among the forerunners of the Reformation. He was condemned by the Second Lateran Council in 1139 and banished from Italy. He was declared to be a demagogue. He became the intellectual leader of the Commune of Rome, which had taken control of the city from papal forces. He succeeded in driving Pope Eugene into exile in 1146. Edward Gibbon, in his book Decline and Fall, writes, "The trumpet of Roman liberty was first sounded by Arnold. Arnold called for freedoms and democratic rights." It's strange, that was centuries before the French Revolution, that he actually called for democratic rights. Faced with the stake, he refused to recant any of his positions. He remained a hero to large sections of the Roman people. In 1882, Brescia put up a statue to its famous son, and I now want to show you the statue.
Lovely, thank you. How beautiful. Oh, that is so lovely. Let me just get that.
Monument to Arnold of Brescia, who lived up till 1155. Erected by the people of Brescia in 1882, it has the words, "To the forerunner, to the martyr of free Italian thought." That is Arnaldo.
It's beautiful.
Arnaldo.
It's a beautiful statue.
They obviously thought highly of the son of Brescia then.
Arnaldo of Brescia. How amazing is that?
Yes, Arnaldo of Brescia. Now, so that's Arnaldo.
He's a very special man, isn't he?
Yes, and he could be.
He's part of the witnesses,
He's
isn't
part
he?
of the witnesses,
How
yes.
wonderful.
Yes, but because he campaigned, in fact, long before the Huguenots, he campaigned for freedom and to use the word democracy.
Is it still there now?
Oh yeah, the monument. Oh, it is. I'm sure it is. Yeah, it is still in Brescia. I'm sure it is. Now, the final one. If we have time.
I mean, we've got 5 more minutes.
Yes, that won't cover it.
Yeah.
But I must get to. So I haven't.
I'll have to stop it now.
Yeah, stop it. Yeah, stop it.